Welcome everyone to the Cardano Effect Podcast, episode 68. The purpose of this podcast is to take high-level developer information and projects that are occurring within the Cardano space and break them down into bite-sized, consumable pieces of information for everyday use. I'm your host, Philippe, and let's get this podcast started. It's Rick and myself as the host of the Cardano Effect Podcast today. We have a lot of special guests. I want to first say Happy New Year to everyone. This is a brand new year for the Cardano Effect Podcast. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Our podcast is growing, and it's thanks to you. So without further ado, I want to remind everyone that none of what we say on this podcast is financial advice. Remember, you are your best financial advisor, and if you don't think you are, you need to find someone who's qualified to do so. So without further ado, Rick, how are you doing this morning? What's going on? What's happening? Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, Philippe. Thanks for asking. Doing great this morning. I'd like to give a big thanks to IOHK for sponsoring this podcast. I'd also like to remind new viewers to this podcast that it's available on audio on all major streaming platforms. Now, today is a very great day. We have, for the first podcast of the year for the Cardano Effect, we have 4 pool operators returning to the Cardano Effect to answer your questions that come from Telegram. And we have Chris, Eystein, Kyle, and Mark returning to the Cardano Effect. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on back. Welcome. And how are you doing today? Let's start with Chris. How's it going?
I'm doing great. It's cold and rainy here in Nashville, but excited to be here.
All right. Well, welcome. Eystein, how are you, sir?
I'm great as well. We got wind, storm, with stormy weather, with snow, but I'm inside. I'm good.
All right. Well, welcome. Kyle?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Hope everybody else is doing good too.
All right. Good to see you here. And Mark, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
All right. Well, welcome back. And I appreciate you all being here. Now, we have a whole lot of questions to get through, so we're going to try to get through them kind of rapid and continuous and terse, yet with quality, good quality answers, okay? And the first one we have came from Nicolas Aqueros himself, from the Emergo's Chief Technology Officer, and he asked, if any of you are operators in other blockchains where you either operate pools or miners or anything like that, how does Cardano operating a pool compare to the other blockchains? Anyone want to take that one? Anyone done proof of work mining on GPU miners?
No, I've looked into it and I've read comments from individuals who are comparing it. And from what I hear is that mining Cardano is more difficult and more challenging. It requires a more advanced skill set than mining Bitcoin. I think a lot of that difficulty is attributed to the uncertainties of testnet, though. So, but in regards to the skill set, I can't really comment. I haven't walked through the whole process of setting up a Bitcoin node. But from my knowledge of Bitcoin miners in the past, they have traditionally been less technical in my perspective than myself personally.
Well, it wasn't that easy in 2010, for instance, mining Bitcoin. You need to look at how old the technology is and how much time it had to mature.
Right.
Yeah. Did you happen to mine Bitcoin in the early days, Mark?
Should I really say that here?
Yeah, you can say that.
Well, lots of people in Czech Republic been doing that because we had this Linux community where the news about Bitcoin spread quite fast, and Satoshi Labs that makes Trezor, the hardware wallet, they actually are Czech company and group of the first miners, and I know the guys behind the slush pool and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to add that my 2 technicians were proof of work miners, and Cardano is way harder. It takes way more time. They might have spent maybe 10 or 20 minutes a day. Sometimes 2 or 3 days goes by. The miner just chugs away. And then you might have to calibrate it, redirect it to a different pool. But yeah, it's Cardano is a lot more effort at this point early in the game.
The difference between year 1 and
change.
Year 10, right?
But in
Exactly.
in 2010, you couldn't mine to pool because there was no stratum mining. It came from Czech Republic, so the pool mining was not existent back then.
Right, but we're comparing current, so a current comparison it's a lot more difficult on Cardano. But yeah, 10 years from now it might be easy.
I tried Ethereum mining, but it tired my graphics card, and it was drawing like 300 watts or something like that. That's the main difference for me is how less watt you require. I mean, a rock Pi is like 5 watts or something like that. So
Yeah,
I think that's a great point with Cardano. It's more environmental friendly.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't think you could run it on Rock Pi.
You can probably run a relay node, but probably not a pool. But I mean, I run a Risen 3700X. It's like 35 watts when I optimize it, and the router is like 10 watts, so 45 watts. It's possible.
Yes. We're looking at an entire network right now with a total consumption of probably 20,000 to 50,000 watts. It's really hard to calculate. And so, but yeah, definitely much less power than Bitcoin. That's for certain.
And it's a big point because like today I was talking with a co-location in the major data center in Norway, and they said that actually data centers in Norway are reluctant to co-locate with cryptocurrencies because they have drawn too much power, and the government did not want to subsidize, because data centers in Norway get subsidies for power. And so it's a major point actually that Cardano does not draw as much power.
Yeah. You know, my friend Bohan in South Africa is mining on a Pi 4. And he's finding blocks. So he's if
possible.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're interested in doing that, talk to him. His stake pool is easy, by the way.
Oh, Easy's running on a Rock Pi.
Rock Pi.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
That's cool. That's standard kit. All right, so let's roll through the next questions. Philippe, you want to take the next one?
Yes, the next question is running a stake pool profitable? We can maybe start with Chris, or you guys can do a popcorn for this.
It is profitable. I would say roughly double the profit from just staking to an average pool.
Not a lot of overhead costs, or there's not a lot of power costs, I guess.
I mean, it's probably $200 a year. And I mean, my pool is only 4%. So, you know, which I feel like, you know, maybe is under, you know, slightly underpriced. You know, I think watching some of the other pools like yours, Rick, was 6%, right?
Yeah, 6 and 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I feel like that might be the sweet spot. Six, you know, maybe 5 to 8%, somewhere in there.
It's
you know,
possible.
All bets are off mainnet when the exchanges, you know, the whale pools get involved. But
yeah,
you know, right now it, you know,
I
a
mean,
4%.
I think we're seeing some of that. Yeah, I think we're seeing some of that whale action kind of maybe play itself out with some of the IOHK pools. So maybe that can kind of give us a little idea and test now how that's going to play out.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
The biggest advantage of the incentivized testnet is relatively low participation at somewhere of 30% of stake. So the rewards are high as of now.
That's right.
I think it's the wild west right now. We have like 14-15% just for delegating, and pool fees are amazing. I wish there was more pool operators getting involved in the system, because there's still a lot of room to grow, and it's still it's very sustainable to have support the running costs at the current level.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting. I would bet, you know, the pool 1PCT, I bet those are professional miners. I bet they're pros. I don't, because they went straight for the jugular. They went straight to 1%, and the protocol allows it, and they made as many pools as possible, and they're probably making a profit. I mean, I don't know, but if you look at how much stake they drew in, they're probably doing okay. And I don't know who they are. I don't know them. But as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, well, the pros are here. The pros showed up. I'm guessing, but I'm probably not wrong.
If I can add one more thing to that, is that when you do the calculations, you should do running costs, but also the hardware costs. And you have to ask yourself, do you want quality hardware running these pools? For now, maybe it doesn't matter so much, but when we get smart contracts, when we need the throughput, maybe it will matter more.
Yeah. You also got to take into account bandwidth, depending on what your internet, you know, how you connect to the internet. That's also a cost. It's an operating cost.
Yeah. I mean, I already bought the server. I bought a professional network card now. I'm looking into maybe doing more dedicated fiber line, but it will see. For me, it's just for fun right now. Yeah.
My total setup costs, I'm still in the red.
Well, would you really? I mean, would you expect appreciation on the asset that you are supposed to write off over a period of 3 years to pay for itself in less than a month?
That's right.
No, of course not.
So there you have the answer to the question, right? So you take the capital expenditure for the hardware and depreciate it over 3 years. I mean, those who went with the hardware solution, those are in the red, unless they went with the RPI or with the ROGPI.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, I didn't really want to.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. For me, I didn't want to really entertain a local hardware redundancy issue, so I'm kind of using cloud services, and I've got costs under 150 a year.
Wow.
Nice.
Including bandwidth?
Right now, yeah. If the provider changes, yeah, we'll see how that goes. So far, so good. That may change, but hopefully it'll be a little bit more profitable when it does.
Cool.
Interesting.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys. So let me roll through the next questions and try to keep pace here. Now, Kyle, that's a great segue into the next question. And the question is, any pool operator using AWS or Azure to run stake pools? If so, what are the monthly expenses? Perfect.
That answers that question.
Yeah. So $150 a year. Depends on what you use, like DigitalOcean. Is anyone using that?
That's a popular choice.
I looked at it. It does look cheaper, a little cheaper than what I'm using. I'm using Dream Compute services from DreamHost for a lot of my pools, and I'm running only on a 2 gig RAM, 4 gig swap.
Yep.
Ooh, 2 gig RAM.
Oh,
That's
okay.
like below specs. It's still
Working
working.
fine. I wanted to take it to embedded. Yeah, I'm trying to get it as low as possible. Yeah, I want to know how small we can get it. I mean, obviously, I'll bump it up if we need to, but for testnet, why not? You know.
Yeah. I think is it Priyank? How do you say his name?
Priyank.
Priyank. He said he was running like 1.1 gig of RAM.
It's awesome.
So, yeah.
I remember during the non-intensified testnet, having anything less of the 4 gigabytes of memory was crashing.
I was going to say with my setup, I'm about 50% utilization. So what Pryank's seeing is roughly what I'm seeing too. That's about accurate. And I think that's with the 2048 connections.
Yeah, Jormungandr is amazingly light on RAM and CPU consumption, but amazingly intense on the network connections. So I do want to, at this point that you mentioned Priyank, I do want to point out a couple of the silent heroes of the testnet. So I just want to give a shout out to Chris Graffagnino, Priyank, and Paldarogi. I call them the silent heroes of the testnet. Chris really helped a lot of people get up online with his procedures he has on GitHub. Pal has some really, really good fine-tuning procedures for people using Linux variants. And Priyank has been providing lots of real-time support to people asking questions in Telegram with personal direct messages once he finds that someone has a real problem. And so the three of you guys, I really got to give you props. Excellent work, man. I don't think we would be at 560 some odd pools if it wasn't for all of the volunteer information and effort you guys have given to the community.
It's been a lot of fun to speak to people from all over the world and get success messages. Just this morning, my friend from Ireland messaged me and told me that, you know, the tweaks that we made a drastic difference. So that was super cool.
That's rewarding to see the results. And did you see the pool pop up online yet? Or you've seen that happen where you helped someone and then poof, there's the pool in Deadlist. Yay.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, we can move to the next question. The next question is, are these rewards percentages sustainable for the long term? Charles said they come from inflation, but I did not get it. Just wanted to add that the circulating supply is 31 billion, max supply is 45 billion. So inflation basically means that that difference between 45 and 31 is going to be introduced into the system over a period of time. So it's only inflationary for a certain period of time. Once we hit that max supply, that's all the ADA that's going to be produced. And rewards will come from basically transaction fees and everything in the middle. There's going to be a treasury and things are going to be distributed that way. So it's inflationary now, and then it becomes slightly deflationary as time goes by. If anyone wanted to add anything to that, feel free.
Are the rewards percentages sustainable for the long term?
No, they're not.
No, they're not sustainable.
No.
They'll decrease over time. But the thing is that you hope that the actual asset
the value of ADA is going to
increase. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And it's also dependent on participation levels.
Yes.
So the next one is why are there so many differences in pools performance? Is it really difficult to keep the network up? So I think what they're referring to is the pool's performance in relation to dataless and just in general. So anyone want to take that? Why are there so many differences in pool performance?
I mean, I think the numbers represented in dataless aren't entirely accurate. I think if performance is relevant to, you know, staying on top of your blocks, that's one thing, and I understand that metric to it. But, you know, you have some pools who have been in sync, and I don't think that those two metrics alone are taken into that performance number.
Now the performance number in Daedalus is calculated only for the current epoch. It doesn't spread, it doesn't average over time. And it's calculated as a relative number of the blocks that you should produce as per the probability of being assigned a slot, and then the block actually appearing in the chain. So that number changes for each one of the pools after every epoch, every day, and the pools with 100% performance are usually the new pools that are just starting and produce just one block, and they've been assigned only one block, right?
And I think it's also time dependent. I notice when I have a lot of blocks after each other, produce all of them, my performance rises. And then if I wait a while until the next block, it would drop slightly.
So maybe it's a running 24-hour as opposed to the current epoch. You think that's accurate, Mark, or is that just a crazy assumption?
I think that could be possible, yes.
That's just an observation I have, so I did not verify that.
Okay.
I've observed it's like the earlier you get blocks in your leader, the earlier your performance jumps.
Interesting.
It appears that way.
It's definitely true, yeah.
But I also have 3 dataless wallets, and all 3 of them show different numbers.
Oh.
Yeah, the daedalus performance is a bit wacky.
Yeah, like the block height is the same.
Oh wow! I think it's safe to say that they are not taking into account a pool's uptime. Or synchronization with block height, and you know, I think that's kind of can be discouraging to some smaller pool owners.
Well, they don't really have any way to verify that information, to be honest, in the protocol level.
Yeah, at the protocol level, I think the only place you can verify it is at PoolTool.
Well, either there you don't. Well, yeah, but that's out of band solution, and if you don't send your tip, it won't show, right? Lots of pools don't do that.
Yeah, but there's not much historical representation.
Is it okay I cut in here about the social process thing? I've been saying this in the previous Cardano effects as well. This is where we as pool operators have social agreements, like how we are producing the tip to pool tools, for example.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Eystein. That actually that's a great segue to the next question. Philippe, do you see where we're at there? He's leading us right into it.
Yes. It's what improvements do pool operators want?
It's Christmas time. What do you want?
I think that's a big metric. Yeah, I would think a better performance. If you look at dataless, obviously that's technically a centralized wallet, right? if you will, maybe we could pass an endpoint A or our block heights, and then that metric could be included somehow. That would be pretty awesome.
I want to tame the Jormungandr.
Well, you won't be running the Jormungandr node on the mainnet. It will be the Haskell code base. Charles said it yesterday in the AMA.
That's what I want for Christmas.
You want the Haskell code base, Chris?
Yeah.
Nice. Is it
So
still going to be
that's for
called
the next
Jormungandr?
Christmas then. No, it's called Cardano SL.
Oh, they're going to stick with the formal name.
I hope so.
My wish is for redundancy regarding address changes. For example, in the early days, I did a test where I just unplugged the network card and switched to wireless. And it had a bit trouble recognizing you suddenly changing the IP. But some form of like a healing function that it will recognize when you change your IP. That would be really cool.
Okay. You know what I want? It would be nice to have a graphical interface.
Yeah.
I think there is a tool for that from IOHK actually.
Well, there's Fenrir that you can monitor, but you can't interact with the node and set parameters with it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Would you pay for that?
Chris is getting ready to go build.
Maybe. Maybe. I would pay for a node monitoring app on my iPhone.
Nice. I think that's a great question to ask is what do people need in the marketplace and the ecosystem, and what are they willing to pay for? Because if we have an answer to that, we know what to build.
Well,
yeah.
That's a big question, and I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of the application, what you could have is that you could have the pools not communicate via open internet, but you could have the pools to have like a layer 2 pseudo wire available only through like selected carriers. For the largest pools, that would of course cost some money, but it could spread across continents and reduce the overall low latency between the large pools that need to exchange blocks quickly, right?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. And along with that, the key question here is, what improvements do pool operators want? Is there anything else that you guys would really prioritize? And you'd want to put in a GitHub entry or something like, let's say Jormungandr that runs for more than 3 or 4 days.
So I already have that issue opened, and it's the overall forking of the network. So I just got a log from one person that is reporting the same issue, and he also runs a Cardano wallet backend. And during the previous 24 hours, it rolled back 104 times. So there was at least 104 forks on the network for the previous day.
Wow. I mean, I don't know how difficult it would be to build into the protocol all the things it needs to do to restart itself and monitor itself. It'd be hard to compare with an existing block height, but as far as, block height's not changing after a certain time, it'd be cool if the nodes could take care of themselves in that sense, as opposed to us having to, tweak and build our own kind of startup scripts, because what it does, it creates a disparity in the community. Jormungandr itself, I think that would help a lot of pool operators keep their hair in.
Well, that's the question. I mean, if you are reacting to the blockchain height not updating, you are probably already too late, because I think it starts after 10 minutes being out of sync. Isn't that after 10 minutes?
400 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, what's that, 7.5 minutes?
Okay. Well, what you have in the API is that you have last block time, which is the last time that the block that you applied to your tip has been produced, and then you have last received block time, which tells you with the accuracy to the 1 second when did you receive last block on the network, although it may not have been compatible with the tree that you have. So if you should compare these two numbers and have a maximal skew configured to 20 seconds, right? And if it's greater than 20 seconds, then you already, or the same.
Sure. It's all happening locally though, and everyone's checking local variables and putting local implementations together. And if it's all happening locally and it's not relevant to the overall protocol state, it should be built into Jormungandr, I would think.
Less forks is what I'm hearing.
I don't think it should be built into the core application, because everybody can deploy application in a different application landscape. We have people running on Windows, we have people running on Mac OS, we have people running on Ubuntu, we have people running on CentOS, even people running on Linux don't run into the same environment. I mean, we have Eystein who runs with systemd. Then you have me who runs the application in a Docker environment. So you know, these are deployment specific things that, you know, if you try to build them directly into the application, they're always gonna.
I see.
You're gonna have to cut corners.
It's a lot to maintain.
I agree with both of you. We should have at one differentiation for system OS, but at the same time, we need to make it as simple as possible for new people to join this. So, for example, the self-healing function that it will detect if you're on a fork, that would be really good.
If I had to pick one, that might be the one, for sure.
Yeah.
Self-healing the forks. That's a good one. That answers the question. What improvement does a pull operator want? Self-heal the forks. Because right now, that's where you pull your hair out.
Yes.
Trying to steer the node back on.
I agree.
The chain.
Yes. Yes.
It takes a lot of manual intervention, a lot of effort. All right, Philippe, you got the next one. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sounds
I appreciate
good.
it.
Yes. The next question is: has there been anyone that missed the snapshot yet? Has there been anyone that has missed the snapshot yet has contributed positively to the conversation and progress of understanding the IT side of the testnet? Maybe a colleague or peer that just does not do crypto. Missed the snapshot yet has contributed positively.
So I was actually discussing with a security expert at the local university in a party, and he was all over Cardano when I told him about it, and he helped me with some security hardening of my server. That was cool, and I think it's a really interesting time as now it's really exploding the demand for Cardano, like the pool operators. How long have we been? 1 month, and it's already 600-700 pool operators. So I think we'll see more and more people joining in and wanting to join in and being late to the snapshot. So I noticed there was a debate about should we have a second snapshot. I think that's very related to this question, actually.
Yeah, we do have that question coming up in the list.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and hit that now. Is there going to be a second snapshot?
Carol said yesterday.
I mean, if there is, I think they should announce it more than 4 days in advance so people can move their crypto around, because it can take longer for some people to get their Cardano than 4 days.
Well,
yeah, and not really a second snapshot, but a third snapshot, because they already did two.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
And
Yeah,
I think, to be honest
Right.
with you, I think it was super well advertised, and if people missed it, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Well,
definitely
the second
agree
one
that it
wasn't
was-
well advertised. They announced it 4 days in advance.
Yeah, but the first one was publicized so much that you basically subscribe to all the channels where the information may be communicated.
Sure.
I think that there are a plethora of issues that IOHK needs to work on first before worrying about another snapshot. I mean, there are a lot of issues, not only for stake pool operators, but delegators themselves. I get a lot of questions about Daedalus and Yoroi. So there are a lot of issues with people staking initially. I mean, I get angry messages in my inbox and people still can't access their wallets. So I think there are certain issues that need to be dealt with first before we
That's a
even
good
worry
point.
about bringing in a whole bunch of other people.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good point. That is another question. Let's go into rapid fire mode, because I have people make fun of me on YouTube and said, Rick, you said rapid fire mode. It took like another hour. So you guys want to go for it? You ready to power through?
Let's try.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. All right, next question.
Rick, do you want me to get it? Or
Yeah, from Cardano Official.
okay, so how do I pick a pool? This is question from stakers, delegators.
You read the guides from Chris Graffagnino or Elap or the official guides from AOHK.
Perfect. Rick, next question.
All right. Well, that one was how do I pick a pool? How do you pick it?
ROI.
Just go for it.
There you go. ROI. Cool. Thank you. All right. Next question is, what is the process to add more coins or new coins to a stake wallet? Is it possible?
Not now. Next snapshot.
Correct. Thank you. Will it? Okay, Philippe.
It says only snapshot coins can be staked. Yes. So let's move on to the next question. This is just for the testnet, only the snapshot coins that you had November 29th. The next question is, will I lose rewards when I change pools? Will there be an epoch when I miss the reward?
No, there won't be.
Only if you're changing to a pool that doesn't produce blocks.
Good answers. Thank you.
Next
When
question.
will I see my rewards?
After they will be transferred to the mainnet after the launch of Shelly on the mainnet.
Can I see my rewards balance without opening my wallet?
Currently, no. There is a problem with the Shelly Explorer.
What is saturation and what does it mean?
Saturation.
Is over delegated to a pool.
I think Philippe should take this one because he is the one saturated here.
So, okay, I'll take that. So saturation point, it's written into the protocol, basically what it's intended to. So there's not too much ADA that can be delegated to one certain pool. Once you pass that metric, it's supposed to be 1% of the total delegated stake. Once you cross that 1% threshold, basically you're getting a fixed number of rewards for everyone in that pool. So if there's additional ADA that gets split over a greater number of people, so ultimately the rewards go down, not necessarily meaning the rewards of an actual pool are lower than they would be a previous epoch, but there are more people to distribute it to. So everyone gets a little bit less. Saturation point has, I don't know if it's going to change, that metric will change over time from mainnet to testnet. They may alter the parameters. I've spoken internally with some people that work for IOHK that are working on Jormungandr that are in complete different pages with what's actually being communicated. So we'll have to see as time progresses. But that's saturation in a nutshell.
Thank you, Philippe. Next question is, are pools capped at 35 blocks?
No,
No.
I think the Japanese pool had like 95 blocks last epoch, or more than that.
Okay. Next question, why am I getting 12% or why am I getting 4%?
So that number depends, so the ROI depends on the pool performance and the fee that the pool charges you for providing the staking services to you. So you may either delegate to a pool that has very poor performance or charges a large fees. I mean, I even seen some not advertised as private that charge 100% fee. I don't know if it was created by mistake or not, but they are definitely tried to do some marketing on those pools as well.
Yeah, ROI is the what to watch for. If you're on pooltool.io, that's the metric you need to pay attention to.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. All right. The next question is, when will Yoroi staking be?
It's already there. The problem is that even Emurgo has the stability problem with Jormungandr. So the lightweight client doesn't always work as it should. So sometimes you need to try, like, you know, if it doesn't work that day, just give up and try it the next day to delegate from Yoroi.
You can also go on the Yoroi wallet website and open up a support ticket. You know, as much feedback. I know they're probably getting hammered with support tickets, but they can categorize it and know exactly what to go after first. The next one is, why does a pool not show up in Yoroi but shows up in Daedalus?
And I think that answers the next question too.
Yes. So issues with, and sometimes pools don't show up in Daedalus too, so it's not just a Yoroi issue. It could be a cross-platform.
It's more related to the network and it's not Daedalus and Yoroi specific, right?
Yeah.
It's the network.
That's right. That'll get cleaned up when Jormungandr gets cleaned up.
Cascading effect.
Next question.
Is the wallet seed phrase check real? You know, when you go to test your wallet seed phrase, is that real inside the wallet?
Worked for me.
I don't know what that means by real. Yeah, worked
I
fine.
think, you know, people, it's always scary when people delete their wallet. You know, everyone should know that when they have their seed phrase, that they ultimately have the, you know, availability to the funds. So, you know, you can delete the wallet, you can throw your laptop into the ocean. As long as you have that seed phrase, you can always buy a new computer, download Daedalus or Yoroi, and get back to where you were. So that's, you know, there's your public service announcement.
So what I'll do, I'll put that question in context, if I remember correctly. The person was having a problem with Yoroi, and they wanted, so what they're asking is, you know how you can put your seed, Yoroi has a seed phrase test. So you can put it in and verify that it's a valid seed phrase without actually creating a wallet. So the answer is yes. I think their concern was they were getting hacked, like some website was trying to suck their data out. So yeah, yes, it's real. Philippe, you got the next one?
Yes, and just make sure you're not checking your seed phrase in a compromised location. Don't do it at your public McDonald's, or if your computer is just messed up. Just wait. You probably have the correct seed phrase. Do it in a secure location, and make sure that you're following proper security protocols, because someone could have a keylogger and they're just taking snapshots of your computer while you're doing that. So be careful.
And ask yourself, especially if you're downloading Daedalus or Yoroi, you know, you ask yourself, is this the legit, you know, download? You know, it might not be realistic for people to check the hash of those things, but you know, the best you can tell, you know.
There was quite a big phishing campaign on Facebook for fake Yoroi, right? Right.
Well, and on that note too, even in Daedalus, when you're entering your key phrase, don't type out your whole each word. You know, just type out the first few letters or how many you need. It'll auto complete the words that'll be available to you, and then just click, and that'll help back to the keylogger aspect of it. So always be cognizant that perhaps you do have a keylogger. So.
Yeah, I always assume that I'm compromised in some way. So even when I even type wrong letters in another window and do it to make sure.
I agree. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea. Next question. Why does Daedalus show a zero balance? So this is a Daedalus issue. You need to open up a support ticket. Try uninstalling the Daedalus and reinstalling it, or just try logging off, logging back in. I'm having trouble getting into Daedalus at this point in time, so I can't really help you there. Rick, did you want to add anything?
Or you're broke.
No. Anybody else? Why does Daedalus show zero balance? Anyone else seen that?
I haven't seen that.
How many people have seen it? Raise your hand. Okay. I've seen it too. It shows zero balance. All right, so the next question is, hello, I cannot connect to the Daedalus testnet. Someone knows why.
Not with the information provided.
Man, I have this so much.
But this is the average person.
Yeah.
Everybody on this podcast is super high-end, super high-tech. You guys are off the charts. Imagine you're the average person. Put yourself in their shoes. Open your Daedalus wallet. You're already afraid of crypto because of all these people that don't have names and you don't know who they are, and you're downloading stuff and it's costs a lot of money. And you go to open your wallet and it doesn't connect, and you're like,
let me try to answer that in a simple way. Like usually it's either a timing issue or a connection issue. Notice Daedalus often have, like, you need to make sure your timings are correct and auto update the time clock. That's often a case. And of course you can have connection troubles. Those are the main reasons.
But my answer to that question is it's a test net. We're trying to figure out so it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
Don't get frustrated. It's not your fault. It's going to, the problem will solve itself. It really isn't your fault. So if you feel like you're a little wary of the whatever platform that you're using, or you're not really familiar with the network, or you're not high level with computers, don't worry. Just take it slowly. Log back out, log back in a couple days, maybe open up a support ticket. Just take your time. There's no rush. There really is no rush.
Yeah, and if you are unsuccessful after a couple attempts, I think it's just beneficial to wait for the next release if you reported the issue.
And if you delegate it, it's still delegated. Even if you see a zero balance, you're still going to get your rewards.
Yeah.
Because it's on the blockchain, it's not in the wallet. All right, what's the next question? Thank you, guys.
Yeah, the problem's just your local node.
Yeah, local node, right. Thanks, Kyle.
Next question. Rick, do you want to get it?
Yeah, why do I see a negative balance?
I suppose he sees that negative balance in the Explorer, and that's just another bug in the Explorer.
Okay, yeah, that's only in Explorer as far as I know.
I know about 3 bugs in the Explorer. First of all, it doesn't calculate the fixed fee for the pools. If you open the pool in the Explorer, it doesn't add the paid out rewards to the account balance. So if you delegated 170K ADA in the third epoch and you already received some rewards, it doesn't matter. The Explorer is still going to show 170K, which you delegated initially. And the third issue that is with the Explorer is that it can show a negative balance for certain addresses under certain conditions. I think it happened to the address that's used by Clio. He's behind the RockPi initiative, and his address is like 1,500 minus.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah,
but if you check it through the JCLI, you will see either a null or positive balance. So it's just Explorer bug.
It's an Explorer bug. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Next question. Hi, I downloaded testnet version 1 rewards. Do I use the wallet recovery from the Cardano wallet, or do I create a new rewards wallet?
So you first use the recovery function, and it will prompt you to create a new rewards wallet.
Yes.
I think you guys made even videos on that topic.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's best to follow probably your step-by-step guides.
Yep. Yeah, you can check out the Philippe channel or the Digital Fortress channel for guides on how to operate the wallets. The next question is, thank you for that, Mark. The next question is, I could be wrong, but I suspect the system would be better if only newcomer rewards are slashed when they join saturated pools. Are there any obvious problems with this? So let's say a pool is right at saturation, and when newcomers arrive, their rewards are slashed.
I think it should.
Well, I think saturation. Go ahead. I'll give you my opinion. You go first.
I think it should be up to the decision of the stake pool operator. If there's gonna be a change, then you as a pool operator should be able to configure the behavior best to fit your use case.
I think given the saturation is a function of total delegated stake, as well as keeping the playing field as favorable as possible for under-delegated and new pools, I think that I think it should be as it is.
It would be an interesting feature for a stake pool operator to close, new delegates. Just turn it off.
I'm kind of split on this.
That would be
agree
cool.
with Kyle and Chris. I'm like,
I think my problem is like you can even over delegate to someone else and it would hurt all of them and people will start to redelegate to other pools.
Right.
I wish there was, as I discussed in another episode, that it should stop when you are full, then those after should have reduced rewards, not every user. I wish that was a function.
I think we talked about this the last episode too, is, the potential for malicious activity. If I'm a competing node and, I want to oversaturate your pool, I'll pile in for one epoch and then people will leave and then I leave as well.
Yeah, hopefully that won't happen.
Does the math work?
If I had that much ADA, I wouldn't even be running a node.
Right, yeah.
I'd be driving a Lambo right now.
That's
Yeah, it'd be more profitable just to create your own pool with that ADA.
right, but if I just pile into yours for one epoch, and like
And
assuming
have
Just
people
drop them out.
redelegate.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But the current testnet delegations are not as liquid. I mean, the system is not that much dynamic because there are still wallet issues, right? People,
That's
even if they want to redelegate, the Daedalus won't let them.
That's true.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And just noticing
we
the
gotta
behavior.
Get people not delegating to dead pools.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question for you guys. I mean, it basically comes down to your preference of how liquid you want ADA to be in the future. Because if something like that gets implemented and stake pool operators have the choice to either cap their pools or have some kind of reward slashing for people that delegate over that saturation point, then that's going to incentivize people to be loyal to a certain pool for a certain degree of time. And ADA wouldn't move as much. Do you think it's beneficial for ADA in long term as far as price, or maybe just the usability of the ecosystem for it to stay in one pool or be sloshing around like it will right now?
Keep in mind, there's another variable, right? ADA is going to move pool delegations as ADA is transacted, right? People move it around, whatever address it goes to, whatever pool's that delegated to, that now becomes part of that pool's delegation, right? So that's another variable in that equation.
Yeah. People don't like to move their funds around, I've noticed. That's why you see saturated pools with 300 million delegated, right?
Dead pools,
Yeah.
delegated.
That's right.
Kyle and Chris, you guys just segued right into the next question, which was the person says, I am just dumbfounded by how much ADA is delegated to dead pools. Why is that?
The short, the funny answer is a lot of people are found dumb, but the reality is I think a lot of people delegated out the gate while we were still getting all our things together. You got pool operators creating, 100% or 70% pool taxes by mistake, and then you kind of got to create a new pool. And, after those first few days of delegation, a lot of people are really truly using a set and forget approach.
That's right.
Can you expect people to follow each epoch a pool?
No.
For instance, I have on-chain registration for 2 pools,
No.
and I'm operating both because there is still something delegated to the old one. But I would like nothing more but to retire the old one because it costs me money. But I just want to be loyal to the people who are delegating to that pool, and give them at least some chance of the rewards. So I do the most experiments on that pool.
So why not back to the feature request in Daedalus? Why can't we alert users that they're delegated to a dead pool? I think that would be a really cool kind of implementation in that sense.
Well, I guess it will appear in the news feed that they are planning to have some kind of informations about the pool that you delegate to. It's just not ready for the testnet.
Yeah.
But
Okay, cool.
The wallet would have to get lighter because Daedalus is a little too heavy for people to be logging in, even on a once every few days basis. We can't expect delegators who are looking at this as some sort of investment, similar to like let's say like an IRA, or you're putting your money into the stock market. They're not checking their balances, or they're not checking their accounts every few days, and they shouldn't have to. So for them to even open up Daedalus every few days to make sure that they get that notification that their pool is dead, I think that there needs to be an alternate solution.
I mean, of course there is.
Maybe that's just another,
delegate to somebody who has the history and a reputation. I mean, on the testnet, it's not that important, but on the mainnet, you will be in it for a long haul, and then just if you delegate to somebody who's been successfully running a pool on the testnet, and transition successfully to the mainnet, the chances of the pool just becoming a dead pool are slim. If you delegate to somebody who just showed up with the lowest fee possible, then the chances that he will drop the ball will be higher, right?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, sure,
Chris,
I think
Chris,
it opens the gateway. Well, I was going to say, I think it opens the gateway for a third-party system similar to PoolTool, web-based. People just go in, throw in their address, and then they can of see what's happening from there, and it actually queries the chain as opposed to being a individual node, that's opening up every time somebody wants to see what's going on with their delegated stake.
Yeah.
It could be an Explorer feature. So, you could subscribe to the address for transactions. I don't know, for instance, the Ethereum Explorer that I'm using, I can subscribe to the Ethereum addresses, and whenever a transaction occurs on that address, I get email notifications. So that could be the same function in the Shelly Explorer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pool2
I would
could
like
email
to-
you if you have 0 blocks produced for a pool you had delegated to, for example.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Guys, we need an iPhone app. It just, an alert pops up. Bling, your pool hasn't made a block in 3 days.
Yeah, that will be
You got to
good.
keep it simple, or
Yeah.
people ain't going to
Absolutely.
use it.
That's
Mhm.
true.
Chris.
That's true.
Chris, hook me up, buddy.
Mhm.
Chris,
All right. Sure.
hook
Even
me
a,
up, buddy.
okay. I'm
iPhone
your
app.
guy.
I think
Click.
it could be easily. I think it could be easily implemented into the Yoroi iOS application.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Even
Yeah.
like a Twilio thing, just get a text.
Yeah, an alert, a notification on my phone. Your pool hasn't made a block in 3 days.
Nice.
Click your button. Cool.
Cool.
I like
Absolutely.
simple. I know if something is too complicated, people will not use it.
Yep.
I
Right,
guarantee that. I've
Yeah.
seen it for 10 years now, at least. If something's too complicated, it's like, nah, man, I'll do it the old way.
Rick, do you want to get a couple more questions, or do you want to
Yes.
start wrapping this up? Because we have like 10 minutes left.
Okay, super high speed rapid fire. When mainnet? When mainnet?
3 to 6 months.
Okay. How to earn staking rewards if I have ADA on my Ledger Nano?
If you
Mainnet.
don't, yeah.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the question was, thank you, Kyle. It was 70% Bitcoin hash rate is concentrated in China. Is it possible this will happen with Cardano? Kyle?
I think power consumption is not a factor, so you're not going to see geographic consolidation.
Not based on the conversations I've had. It's really diverse.
I think the major point is, unlike proof of work, where one person can decide, oh, I want to invest lots of money in this equipment, I can centralize it. You can't unless you own all the ADA. It's up to the people to delegate where they want. That's a major difference.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see a concentration. And just to add to that, what's very interesting? I compared the Cardano map. You see how it's dispersed across the world? If you take how the Cardano map currently looks and you compare it to other coins like proof of stake coins like Horizon and Tezos and Stellar, they look the same.
Hmm.
They look the same.
Interesting.
The
It's very
concentration
You
is
mean highly decentralized?
highly decentralized, but with the concentration spread across Europe, North America, and a little bit in Australia, and then sparsely populated in Asia and Africa. They look almost the same.
So it's basically representative of the distribution of the wealth in the world.
Yeah, or distribution of the internet,
Yeah.
Well, that also, yeah.
which is like they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah. 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 Interesting. So we're going to wrap this up. This was a great episode of the Cardano Effect podcast. I wanted to hand the floor over to you. Tell us a little bit more about your staking pool. Tell us a little bit more about what projects you want to see within the Cardano ecosystem. And just tell us whatever you want to tell us.
Again, my name's Chris Graffagnino. My pool is Master, M-A-S-T-R. But my mission is to help stake pool owners get up and running. So if you tuning or you just need someone to do it for you, I'm your guy. And you can email me at graff, webdev@gmail.
Thank you, Chris. And I can verify he knows what he's doing.
Thanks.
What else? Kyle, did you have one you wanted to hit on with the stake distribution for pools that would?
Yeah, a couple things. Well, first, hey, I'm Kyle, guys, and my pool is Frog. And, first off, we're kind of working on an initiative to help underdelegated pools to kind of achieve a Bootstrap delegation. So we're going to try to work with Cardano Foundation to see if they have undelegated stake they can attribute. But in addition to that, we don't necessarily want the initiative to rely on that. So if there's any community members out there that have significant amount of ADA that would like to help us, what we're going to initially be doing is basically switching delegations every few epochs to designated community pools in attempt to get them to have an opportunity to achieve some organic stake between switching delegations there. So if you guys are interested in participating in that, reach out to me. You can find me on Telegram at AdojaWolf or email me at ksolomon@adoja.com. And we can kind of get that coordinated and get you on a list for when that changes. You know, my personal mission is to increase the value in the ecosystem for Cardano as best I can. My pet project is Adoja. All proceeds from Frog go to supporting that project. We're working on an initiative where all delegators to the Frog pool will receive free Adoja services, which is basically customized Wi-Fi control systems, and all that's in production and work. So if you guys want to help us out, you know, we got on board for smart contracts, but obviously that took a little longer. So we're doing what we can with the pool initiative, and we have some pretty big plans for when smart contracts come on board relevant to tokenization on Cardano. So that's all I've really got. I appreciate it. Thanks for everything, guys.
Thank you, Kyle.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Eystein, Mark.
Yeah, I can do a short one, and Mark can do. Eystein Hansen, I run AdaNordpool.com. I plan mostly now for building a good hardware infrastructure for when smart contracts arrive. And I'm really also learning about smart contracts, reading the Haskell book Charles recommended just recently. For the long term, I'm mostly interested in governance issues. I have a legal degree and psychology degree, and I want to contribute that we have a good liquid democracy for Cardano.
Excellent. Thank you, Eystein. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So I'm Mark. My pool name is Better Late Than Never, and lately I've been producing blogs rather later than than on time. So I wouldn't really recommend to delegate to my pool at this point.
Better than never.
I guess I'm waiting for the Jormungandr 0.8.6 to bring significant improvements in the Poltercast. You know,
can I just add? It's not Mark's fault. Mark knows his stuff when it comes to the hardware.
Absolutely.
The test now.
Yeah, but I just there are just certain, let's say, decisions that the implementations could be improved. It's just from my standpoint where I stand, I see the application as broken, and I see no point in trying to get the So my block performance is around 50 to 75% per epoch. I could probably squeeze out to 85, like most of you, but I just think it will resolve itself with the new releases of Jormungandr, so it's not worth the effort, and it's better for me to actually collect the information for troubleshooting purposes, give that information to the developers so they can improve the protocol, so it won't be as hard to get the good performance out of the node later on the mainnet or later on the testnet.
Yeah,
Testing on the testnet.
Yes, thank you for doing that, Mark. Mark is making a sacrifice along with a lot of people who formed a team to do exactly that, including Palderogi, and Papa Carp is also involved with that. You guys have a team going, and Stikanovic and a bunch of other Bubbas. I think Red Oracle's in there. You guys, great work. Thank you, Mark. I very much appreciate you. He's basically taken a hit for the team to make sure he gets the data collected to fix the protocol, because it is broke. Well, I called it wreck. I called it wrecked. Okay. Broke.
Yeah, you got a bit flack for that.
I paid for that. I suffered the consequences for doing that.
But that's what I love about this community. We can talk about it. We don't hide stuff like that.
Yeah.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong in your approach, I don't think.
At the time.
I mean,
Even now.
when the Daedalus wallet was released to the public, the network came very, very close to being totally stalled, right? We
Mhm.
produced 53% of the blocks. If we look at the current performance, we are somewhere around between 70 to 80.
It is. It's definitely something higher.
Yeah, I remember looking. It was almost 50% at that time.
53. It
Yeah.
was 50. I have the chart in front of me.
Right.
And for Epoch 19 we had 71%. For Epoch 20 we had 69. For the fifth epoch, when the Daedalus been released, the performance was 52.6%. And when the when the Yoroi was released, the performance dropped to another low of 68.9.
Wow, that's good data.
Yeah. Thank you for collecting that. And for anyone out there that's watching this that doesn't know, Mark really knows what he's talking about. So,
He does. Sometimes Mark gets flack on the media channels, which is not. I don't agree. Mark knows his stuff. If you don't like what he's saying, guess what? Y'all need to pull your bootstraps up and just suck it up, because Mark just tells the truth.
That's right.
Let's say I don't like to sugarcoat things in open source community, especially when people's money are on the line.
That's right.
That's why open source works.
Yes, we can't.
I mean, look at it from the open source perspective. I mean, lots of people who are involved in the cryptocurrencies now don't have the previous open source background. I came to the cryptocurrencies from the open source background, and look at the Linus behind the right. Linux, what he can say to lots of people, and how politically correct he is sometimes being, right? The same goes for Richard Stallman. But right. I mean, at some point, I mean, Richard Stallman was recently forced down to step down from the Free Software Foundation.
Yeah, but it's not dependent on Linus or those people. It's because of it's free and open.
Yeah, and good critical solid feedback based on data.
Right.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, you have to look at who is criticizing the project. The people that have been here since the beginning and are really getting their hands dirty. I mean, it's you may take it offensively, but it's that true passion that builds a better project. That's what the critique listens to. If Rick says something, if Mark says something, if I say something, if anyone says something, and you see that we're putting our hours into the project, it's just because we want to make it better. And sometimes you have to make a little noise in order to make it better. We can't dance around problems like, if Daedalus is not opening, it's not opening. It's not, you can't say it any other way. So
no, if we were building a company with an exit strategy, it'd make sense, but this is a long-term initiative,
Exactly.
Stakes are much higher.
And development's messy, and open source development is messier. So it just takes time. You have to be patient.
I would call it organic. It's like, there's many things to criticize, but there's also been many really amazing things happening already in the development. How far we come.
Amazing far outweighs what's to criticize.
I think for if we look at the like the networking protocol, right? I think Cardano is the largest implementation of ProleteR, and it's it's basically been published in a paper, then implemented within Jormungandr, and now we discovered some issues, but the theoretical works of that paper are sound, and if we get those data from the real deployment, and we get that positive feedback loop for ProleteR 2.0, it can be a huge hit that can benefit not only the Cardano as a cryptocurrency, but the decentralized PubSub communication as well. So if you guys follow like other cryptocurrencies, maybe you noticed the new project on Lightning that is a sort of a secure end-to-end messenger like Telegram or Signal. well, we could do, if we will have a good ProleteRcast 2.0, we could implement the same without Lightning channels using just the ProleteRcast metadata without the second layer solution on top of that. So but yeah, it's painful when you are going implementing the technologies that haven't been tested in real deployments before.
Right.
And if you look at the Ethereum 2.0 design spec, the latest one, well, notice one thing: they started to talk about slots and epochs.
Yep, they are.
Oh yeah, it's starting to look a heck of a lot like Cardano.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised if Cardano does Ethereum better than Ethereum.
Well, I have zero problem with that. I mean, it's first of all, it's open science, it's open source, but they shouldn't shit on the project.
Sure.
Okay, everyone. So I want to thank everyone for joining the podcast today. We're definitely going to do this again. These guys are the veterans. It's the Saturday morning. It's just the beginning of the new year. You guys took your time out to spend some time on the Cardano Effect podcast. Please go and delegate your stake to their staking pools. Ask them any questions. They're accessible. They're doing a lot for the community, and we really appreciate you having you on, especially for basically our inaugural episode of the Cardano Effect this year. So 2020 is looking bright. We're of course going to have our hiccups, but we're pushing forward. So without further ado, I'm going to close this episode. And I said at the beginning that it was episode 68, but in reality it's episode 69 because we're doing a live stream tomorrow, but it should be the day before when this releases. So you'll understand that when you watch this. So without further ado, we'll leave everyone. This is the final of this podcast, and until the next episode of the Cardano Effect, everyone. All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New
Thanks,
Year.
everybody.
Happy New Year.
All right.